Welcome to the Fight Night Daily podcast. It's Ben versus Eubank, Eubank versus Ben. We're at Spurs, the home of Tottenham Hotspur. It's Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. We must add an event owned by Ring Magazine, put together by Ring Magazine. I'm Gareth Davies. This is Spencer Oliver. We have just had 45 minutes, Spencer, of a very compelling press conference in which Chris Eubank, Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn, and for a moment Nigel Benn were involved in a very, very fascinating family feud continuing. Let me just set it up. 1990, Benn and Eubank seniors fought to a 9th round stoppage by Chris Eubank. Benn was ahead on 2 of the cards at that point. Then they fought again. That was at middleweight. Then they fought at super middleweight 3 years later. And it was a controversial split draw that many people, you and I included, thought Nigel Benn won. There is so much family pride at stake and bloodline enmity that we even witnessed in 45 minutes today.
Absolutely. Listen, this goes back over 30 years, doesn't it? This family feud long continues, and they're their father's sons, and it's kicked off from where it left off all those years ago. I don't think Chris and Nigel have ever really made that up, and this has really stoked the fire massively. With the drama that happened 2.5 years ago with Conor and his foul test, and the way that Chris felt about that one, and he started this off. I've got to say. 2-0 Chris Eubank Jr.
On both days.
On both days.
Let's
absolutely.
rewind. He was checked by security in a fake way today by Brendan Lyons, obviously Tyson Fury's security guard, his main bodyguard, because on Tuesday he smashed an egg on Conor Benn's face, into the right-hand side of Conor Benn's face. As he was dipping in and out, he smuggled the egg in one compartment of a jacket with about 9 compartments. So he was checked. It was a kind of play around today on the fact that egg smash has been around for 2 days. Let's get your opinion first of all. Was he wrong to do that, or has he really sold the fight?
He's really sold the fight. There's no two ways about that. When you look at what's gone in the past with various other fights and the dramas that happened before fights, during during the press conferences, etc. Was that a bad thing? Hitting him round the face with an egg? Look, is it right? Is it wrong? Listen, it's all about promotion, and he's he's great at self-promotion, Chris Eubank Jr. And he done what he done. It was not as bad as what it was first made out to be. Talking about could he lost his eye with the shell of the egg? Come on, it's an egg at the end of the day. He's done that, and look at the way it's gone viral. It's massive for the promotion.
Couple of points. Chris Eubank getting into Eddie Hearn again made for great viewing, compelling viewing, and also there's that, but also getting into Nigel Benn and saying, you put your hand on me again, and that's the last time you'll do that. That was very interesting as well today. And it ignited Conor Benn.
Absolutely. I think he said it was the last time you'll see that hand. That was exactly what he said. But I think he's been cool, calm and collected in there today, Chris Eubank Jr. I think he stole the show without a doubt. He wouldn't allow Eddie to speak when Eddie wanted to speak. You all know Eddie. You know that he's the king of speeches. He was shut down today. Chris Eubank Jr. come here. It was all premeditated. He scripted it all out in his head, and it was absolutely brilliant.
And there were 2 other revelations as well, Spencer. One was the fighters who went through camps for the first fight 2.5 years ago, and he's pledged £50,000 towards those fighters. And secondarily, and I'm going to throw this out there, he seemed to indicate, he said, I went for a diabolical sum as we negotiated our own deals with Turkey. I'm going to say he asked for 10 million.
Well, I don't know what he asked for, so I'm not going to say anything at
say
all. But I can guarantee one thing, that both guys will be getting brilliantly looked after. And I think Eddie was trying to play the game about we're getting the 60-40 split, we're getting more money than you. Chris Eubank Jr. has obviously gone away, he's thought about it, he's come back with this answer now about exactly what he was getting. What he's getting, we do not know. I know it's going to be a tidy sum, that is for sure.
It's a diabolical sum anyway.
It's going to be a tidy sum, but Again, it was Chris just answering the Eddie stuff, and he would not allow Eddie Hearn to speak today. Every time Eddie opened his mouth, Chris just continued speaking. I think it was genius, by the way, Gareth, what he done there.
He's always been a great promoter, and he's always been a great salesman of what he can do. Let me bring in Adam Smith. Come in between us, Adam. Come behind me here. And we both feel that Chris Eubank Jr., apart from the egg on Tuesday, absolutely owned this again tonight.
He was brilliant, wasn't he? I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing, and yeah, it takes me right back to his dad actually. When
it's the mugs game.
It was, yeah, but Chris Senior was the entertainer. He knew that the eyes were on him, and everyone was looking and watching Chris Jr. there intently through that press conference. Normally it's Eddie with his, as Spencer said, the king of the speeches.
Well, they're not press conference anymore because you're not allowed to ask questions.
No.
So Eddie's had full control.
Yeah.
You were there at Sky when he first began doing that. They turned it into a promotion rather than a press conference.
And in the 5v5, he completely out-talked the other side. He was brilliant at that, and then he got absolutely turned over in the ring when Queensberry beat them. I just thought it was really interesting today to see Chris, his skill at the way Eddie was chirping in, and he turned it, and I thought it was fantastic, the 50,000 thing, because that's great for the fighters that missed out, but we all know they went on and fought again. It's just a dig at Eddie, a dig at what happened, and he'll want Eddie to be thinking about that, and he'll want Conor to be thinking about the Nigel hand on the throat, that he wouldn't see that hand again.
Who's Fooling Who was the name of the first promotion in 1990. Spence, that was the time when Chris Eubank had gone from prospect to something special and had to prove it against Nigel Benn, who'd already beaten Iran Barkley in a round in the United States. Yeah. It's kind of reversed here because it's Conor Benn that's got to prove something because Chris Eubank's already proven that he is world level.
Well, listen, 1,000,000%, and I think the controversy that Conor Benn's been through, he's gone from hero to zero in many people's eyes, with the public perception of Conor Benn right now, with this whole situation. So it is now down to him to prove massively, that he belongs at this sort of level. Chris Eubank Jr. has nothing to prove. He's accepted this fight. He goes into it. He's getting a huge payday for it. It's a must-win situation for Chris Eubank Jr.
Absolutely.
Because of the weight situation. If he loses at 160, Conor Benn, a fighter coming up, you just have to ask yourself, at this stage, where does Chris go? Probably the end of the career. Conor's got an option to go other places if he does lose his fight.
I want you to speak about that as well, Adam, but are you hearing what I'm hearing, which is Conor Benn may well be fighting under a boxing border control license as opposed to an American license?
Yeah, I think that might happen. Obviously, that's in the board's hand, and Robert Smith, I'm sure, has had a word with Chris about the egg the other night. But as Spencer rightly said, it's
used to be fined, apparently.
Well, whatever. Derek is always fined for chucking the table over Eddie and I. It didn't matter, did it? Ultimately, they put on a phenomenal fight, him and Dillian White, and they did it twice. That's what we want to see here. We want to see a fire fest. We want to see amazing promotion. The casual fans getting involved. And I agree. I think with Conor Benn, it's really important for him. Okay, this is his big. This is his biggest night of his life
ever.
Because over the last 2-3 years, he's gone through all of the controversy and the difficulties and being looked at, and now he's got to prove himself against Chris Eubank Jr. Chris has fleeted around world class. Conor hasn't. The weight difference is something, but ultimately, I think it's the fight. It's all about this fight. It's machismo, pride. The names are on the line. The legendary history, and I think it will come down to 12 3-minute rounds, but it's the anticipation and the build-up that's going to be bigger than anything.
Well, let's talk about the fight then, because there's a theory that Chris Eubank looked a little bit older against Zarameta back in Riyadh when they fought, that Conor Benn is fresher, but he hasn't been as active. He'll be dangerous early. The weight cut for Chris Eubank. He's 35 years old. How do you see it? Who goes in as favourite for you, Spencer?
Chris Eubank Jr. goes in as favourite for me. You're talking about the Zarameta fight, and you look at that and you go, when you're boxing at a certain level and you can't get up for those sort of fights, you do box below par. You adjust to the standard of the opponent. You see that Chris was clearly better than Zarameta, and he underperformed that night. He didn't look particularly great. fight. You look at Conor Benn and you have to go back to 2021, you know, before he's had 2 fights since 2021.
Roscoe and Dobson, that's
absolutely. Inactivity is going to play a huge part in that, and with the weight as well and the rehydration clause that's been put in is not as bad as what people initially were saying about for Chris Eubank Jr. There's plenty of rehydration clause there around the 10-pound mark, which will, you know, that is plenty for a fighter to do. So Chris Eubank Jr. starts the favourite.
What do you think about Ben saying he's going to get it done in 4 rounds, Adam?
Do you know what it reminds me of, Gareth? It reminds me of Nigel Benn fighting Michael Watson, when Nigel was absolutely tearing up everybody, going through them so quickly, and he tried it with Michael, and Michael was really clever and waited his time and then knocked out Ben. And I think you'll see Conor ferocious. I think it means so much to him. I think he eats, sleeps and breathes Chris Eubank Jr. Jr. does start favourite because tactically he's been up there at world class, and I think ultimately he has to, with the weight and everything on him, he has to be the one that people think will get through it. But boxing's a funny business. I've seen many fighters come up in weight, more natural, and on one given night, if he just wants it that little bit more, it could. But it's starting to remind me a little bit of when Nigel Benn fought Michael Watson.
Brilliant stuff as always, Adam. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to swap you for Adi Oladipo. Enjoy your evening. Let's get Adi's thoughts on being between these two families for the last 3 days. Talk to us about what you've experienced, Adi, in the last 72 hours, being up there when the eggs were thrown. I was watching you. You moved adroitly out of the way. Tonight, did you think it was going to kick off a little bit more? Because in a way, Chris Eubank owned it, we felt again, but it was a bit tamer up there tonight, thank God.
Yeah, I feel like the first press conference was almost 10-7 Eubank Jr. Yeah, it was a 10-7.
Tonight, 10-8.
Tonight, 10-8. Tonight, 10-8. He's just too good at this game.
Yeah, he's very good.
You can't play him. He knows how to control a room.
And Eddie.
He controls Eddie. He has no fear. I mean, even went and tried to attack Nigel, didn't he? Like, that hand touches me again. That hand will never touch anyone else.
But that lit Conor up, didn't it, Spence?
And I wanted it to go. I'm one of those people.
You wanted it to go again.
Trouble. You know, look, I've been coming to these things, watching you guys cover these for years, and some of them are boring. I don't mind
that was so compelling tonight for 45
don't
minutes.
You think that was so articulate and so meticulous in the way that he delivered that? That was more.
It's very unusual. You were up there, obviously chairing it. It was very unusual to hear absolute silence in the room for 45 minutes. Because I'll be honest, we do get bored during press conferences sometimes.
But when Chris talks, you almost want to make sure you hear everything.
It was
genius.
You feel
like every word is something from him, and he is. Look, I was quite young watching his dad fight. But then when you go and watch old tapes of his dad impresses, it's exactly the same person.
Oh no, the apple has not fallen far from the tree with both of these guys.
I was begging for Chris Sr. to walk through the door and go straight for Nigel and say, "How dare you touch my son?" And then that would have been it. But look, I mean, the ticket sales are incredible.
Yeah.
And you know what? To be fair, I said Eddie. I should have said you. You've always told me this will be 3 or 4 times bigger than the first one. And I kind of never believed you. You're right, 3 or 4 times bigger. Del Boy's
talking about 3 or 4 times bigger.
Walked in with no permission.
No, he's got permission. He's always got permission
and look,
to be in with us.
He said to me he's going to ask a question. Good question. It started saying that's quite a good question you asked.
You've got to get.
I wanted to ask the other question.
No, I'm happy you
Go
didn't
on,
ask
ask
that
another
one.
question.
No.
I wanted to ask the other question.
Pose it now.
No, the other question was very difficult because he was it was like. Was it knockouts? Nigel Benn got knocked out how many times, and then the other Chris Eubank, Chris, how many times have been knocked out? You know, but it's just one of the things I wanted to ask, but they told me not to ask him.
You fought here against Tyson Fury.
Yes.
It's a great stadium to fight in. It'll be a massive event, Derek, when it comes.
You don't understand. Tottenham is an amazing stadium. I prefer Tottenham than Wembley.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because here it's very compact, and the food here is nicer.
Oh, what, the food.
Yeah.
The food. And the seats are more comfortable.
The seats are comfortable, and the ladies dress up very nice when they come to Tottenham.
Yeah, that's good. But on the fight, how do you see it, by the way? We want to get your view on it.
I'll be honest with you. I both love both fighters, yeah? So I'm not going to say who's going to win, because I believe the loser will leave in an ambulance. I know that for a fact, because I've just got to know the truth. I just want them to all come out. I want them to come out healthy and safe.
So you'll think it'll be a similar kind of violent fight to their fathers 35 years ago?
No, the fathers the first time around, they both ended up in a hospital bed next to each other
did.
with broken jaws. They both were hospitalised in that contest. And you reckon that they're going to go to them depths again, Derek? Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. Because remember, they hate each other. This is why you don't see, what's his name, Eubank Sr. here. You know, he don't want to be part of it.
Don't want to relive it.
Yeah, he don't want to be part of it. So we might be saying right now, oh wow, this could be amazing. But are we going to be saying, wow, this is amazing when one of them is in hospital? Do you
That's
understand?
how brutal the sport is. It's the sport we love,
but
that's how
remember,
brutal it is.
they're not going to be in hospital because of the sport. They're going to be in hospital because of the catch weight, the weight they have to make, both of them. Do you understand? And some of them have never made that weight. So it's going to be brutal for both fighters. Yeah. But end of the day, we're all doing it for one thing. It's not for boxing, it's for the money.
It's for the
For
money.
the money.
And what do you? I'm guesstimating that diabolical number is 10 million that Chris
I think
Eubank
it could be
Jr.
10 to
offered.
15.
Yeah,
10 to 15
if
million.
he's gone diabolical, what would you go diabolical? What would your figure be?
I think Chris got 20.
He might have gone 20.
He got 20.
What do you reckon Eddie's gone for Conor then?
One second. How are we moving on that quick? 20 M?
Yeah.
You think he got
It
20?
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
10 minimum.
Because remember, if somebody wants it, they're going to pay for it. And remember, if somebody wants it and they got pride and say, you know what, we are the big dogs in boxing, they'll just chuck a number like, you know, we'll take it.
They'll be getting 10 apiece.
Okay,
That's
very
where
good.
I'm at.
But Turkey
10
gets the
apiece.
pay-per-view, remember, so he will get his money back. This does over a million in pay-per-view.
There's no 10 apiece.
You don't. You think there's more?
Remember their
10
contract.
apiece.
The contract.
No, there's no. There's separate contracts. Yeah.
Okay, do you think this does, if it was a one pay-per-view platform, do you think this does over 1 million pay-per-view buys?
Easy.
No,
A million's a lot.
I don't think it does. Let me explain something to you. The boxing fans of our generation are very thick. Yeah, remember this. But the YouTubers fans are very smart.
Oh, so you're saying they're going to rip it?
The boxing people are thick, so boxing people will pay for it. But the YouTubers will
Find
not.
a way.
But we're going to get 3 generations tuning into this as well, so there will
That's
be
true.
big numbers
My
in my view,
sister
Derek.
is buying
It'll be
this.
over
Yeah,
a million
yeah,
in pay-per-view, in my view. What do you reckon?
No, I think we're going to hit the 800 to 900 mark. That's where we'll be. I don't think it'll hit 1 million.
Do we know the price
No,
yet?
it's 8 to
Do you want to have a
900.
bet on it? Do you want to have a bet on it? Do you wanna have
8
a
to
bet?
900.
Listen, do you want to have a bet?
I think it'll be there or there.
What's your bet? Do you want to have a bet on it?
How much do you owe me already? You owe me 50 quid. This double or nothing.
No.
You owe me 50 quid. You owe me 50
This is a
quid.
good one, yeah?
Go on.
If he hits
Go on.
1 million,
Yeah.
yeah?
We quits.
No. I'll retire from boxing.
Hey, no, we don't want you retiring anytime
Wait,
soon.
yeah, we do.
I think it will.
But if you don't,
10 more to
yeah,
go.
you don't, yeah, you have to dress like an elf and walk around
Forever.
with me, forever. You have to pay.
What, you're not
I
cutting
hope
his
it
hair
does
no more? You're not
900,000.
cutting his hair no
No,
more?
you have to dress like an
You're
elf.
not cutting his hair no more?
We have to paint you blue. And then all
And as Spencer did with my hair, we're agreeing to the bet.
I'm in. No, I am in, mate. I'm 100% in.
Don't go. Who's your 50th?
What, his birthday?
No, it's
Oh,
50th.
sorry.
You know, I made a phone call to some of my friends, and they're like, "Don't fight Joseph Parker. There's no in it. Do you understand?" And I was like, "Oh." They're like, "We can phone PFL and try and get Ngannou." And I said, "I would like to do Ngannou
I like
both
that.
2 fights, in the ring and then in the cage."
In the cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's so.
That's not
that's
stupid.
So,
No.
That's brilliant.
Don't
But I'm saying it's so
compare me to
sneaky.
you, bro.
Sneaky.
Don't compare me
Sneaky,
to
'cause
you,
you was
because you're a chicken,
You
yeah?
was going to retire at 50,
No, 'cause
and now
you're a
he's putting
chicken.
51. He's done a smart
No,
move.
no,
It's
no,
a
no,
smart
no.
move. You
No,
know.
no.
Hey, you
It's
know.
not a
it's
smart
smart.
fight.
You know what you're doing.
All the advertisement for the last dance, and it wasn't the last dance.
Mate, the last dance.
You
is
promised
never
me
the last
50.
dance,
You
'cause
promised
might
me
be-
50.
The last dance is when you're dead. But if you're not dead, there's always a dance happening.
You promised
You've
me
done that
50.
interview
I know what you're
before.
doing
You've got
there,
to
mate.
stop at some point. Derek Chisora, War Chisora,
When are
we
you
love
gonna
you.
stop? Are you kicking me away now?
No, we've got to wrap.
Rap what?
The
Oh,
podcast.
your producer sucks anyway.
I'm not going to argue with Derek Chisora. Thank you, Derek Chisora. Thank you, Adi Oladipo, for joining us. Listen, with 65,000 people in here and 1 million on pay-per-view, that does 35 million.
8,900.
Is that you just done that quick maths?
I've done a quick maths. 30 to 35 million.
Smart
the
guy.
fighters. So maybe.
Who do you think wins?
So
Who do you?
do you know?
Eubank Jr.
I'm picking Eubank Jr to win, but it would not surprise me if Conor Benn is dangerous
Come on.
I
early
think Conor chins him.
and late.
You got
I
Conor?
looked around just to see if there's anyone. I think Conor chins him.
Yeah,
Really?
well, it
I
wouldn't
think Conor
surprise
chins him
me.
in 4.
In 4.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And also, Conor may come late if Chris gets too comfortable in the office. Spencer, Addy, thank you, Derek. He's gone off to do his own stuff. I'm Gareth Davies. You've been
What are you
watching.
doing?
And thank you to Adam Smith for joining us as well. You've been watching the Fight Night Daily podcast. We're at Spurs. We cannot wait for April 26th. Join us on Saturday night. We've got live boxing from Bournemouth. We'll see you later.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.